What do you feel looking at that picture? Thirst, energy, or desire to cool off? Okay, and what about this one? Calm, luxury, maybe even envy? That's no accident. It's the power of color psychology. Brands spend millions to pick the perfect colors, and today you learn their playbook. Hi, I'm Mike Inishev, and in this video we are talking about color psychology. What it is, why it matters, and how to use it in your branding. Through examples of famous companies, you will learn how to rebrand so that you don't get hijacked, and how to make your product desirable and healthy using only one ingredient, color. Are you ready? Then let the show begin. The definition of color psychology is simple. It is the theory that certain colors evoke a physical or emotional reaction and, in doing so, shape human behavior. This isn't quite as basic as seeing red and getting angry or seeing blue and feeling at ease, but almost. Medical studies suggest that the color red correlates to an increase in blood pressure, and the color blue corresponds with a decrease. Because of this impact on behavior, color can play a big role in creating a mood. It works everywhere, even in architecture. Warm colors in your room tend to energize, while cool colors tend to calm. The psychology of colors has a similar impact when it comes to your brand and your marketing strategies. And this leads us to the next question. Why does the psychology of color in marketing matter? Brand colors are an essential part of any company's image. Once chosen, they become part of a company's identity and help to shape how they are perceived by the public. A logo isn't just a picture, it's a first handshake between your brand and your customer, wrapped in your brand colors. That first impression sets the tone, making you unforgettable or instantly forgettable. Your brand colors carry your story across every touch point: the website, the storefront, ads, staff uniforms, your merchandise. They are the silent ambassadors of everything your brand stands for. When chosen right, they don't just represent you, they define you. So, let's dive deeper into color meanings. Yellow exudes positivity. This is the color of happiness and is known to inspire original thought because it resonates with the left side of our brain, the side used for logic. It can also help you stand out amongst competitors on retailer shelves. Red gets pulses racing. Whether it produces feelings of passion or danger, the color red is definitely going to get your heart beating faster. For this reason, it is often used in fast food or retail stores during a sale. Let's take a look at the mix of yellow and red. Of course, McDonald's. These colors help to bring customers through a restaurant. Yellow helps to welcome people in, and red inspires urgency, directly contributing to McDonald's rapid turnover of customers. Yellow and red mix is rather popular. Mastercard also uses it. Red symbolizes energy and vitality, while yellow is a sign of happiness and prosperity. Good emotion, speaking of money. Let's move to the next. Blue is the color you can rely on. Both exuding feelings of serenity and dependability, blue has become a favorite color for brands. Often associated with corporate companies, a shade of blue can bring an air of stability to your brand. Mark Zuckerberg once said that blue is the richest color due to his red-green color blindness, and you know Facebook's famous blue hue has certainly made him richer. Pink embodies femininity. Often associated with women, the color pink in branding can be playful and romantic. It is great for products or services aimed at women, but the use of a hot pink also has an energetic vibe that can work well with a number of industries. The popularity of so-called millennial pink in recent years has put pink back in the spotlight with younger generations. So, it's perfect for use in branding if this is your demographic. Green makes you feel healthy. Often found in nature, a logo that uses the color green will help consumers associate that brand with organic, from the earth ingredients. This makes it a great choice for a food brand wanting to establish themselves as a healthier consumer choice. That's why McDonald's in Europe has a dark green background instead of red to portray a more eco-friendly image. It happens that even entire industries have their own colors. For instance, blue is popular for tech companies, red is preferred by the automotive industry, and black is by far the most popular choice for luxury brands. Okay, it's good to know the theory, but the practical tips are usually perceived better. So, what are the first steps to choosing your brand colors? Well, start with the basics. To do so, you'll need to pick a primary color that represents your brand. Then, if needs be, you can pick secondary and tertiary colors. But more on that later. To choose the first one, think about what type of company you are. Do you want to be a useful brand that appeals to teenagers, or maybe a sports brand for women, or maybe you want to be a classy upmarket clothing brand? I've already told you some color meanings, so use them. If it wasn't enough, learn color psychology essentials on the internet. There are myriads of colors and tons of information about it. Once customers become familiar with the brand colors that you use, they will start to remember them and they will expect to see them every time they visit your store or website. So here is another important thing to remember. Consistency is key. If you regularly switch around your brand colors, even your most loyal customers will get confused. That's why some of the world's top brands are so strict with how their logo and brand colors are displayed. They know that if their branding is displayed incorrectly, it will directly impact their business. For example, in 2010, Gap introduced a new logo replacing its classic blue box logo with a Helvetica-style font and a small gradient blue square. But suddenly customers and designers didn't like it. The new logo was labeled as bland and uninspired. Social media backlash was so intense that Gap reverted to the original logo within 6 days. A good example of rebranding is Dunkin' Donuts becoming Dunkin'. They didn't change fonts or colors, they made it simpler without harsh changes. It's necessary to keep the colors in your marketing consistent, but you don't want to be forgettably one note or even look spammy. Imagine the website of IKEA made only in 2 colors, yellow and blue. Would you stay long on it? I doubt it. Instead, IKEA uses color palettes to be diverse and have more marketing opportunities. And you also need to have a color scheme to work with that allows for some variety but sets some standards. So, if you don't already have a brand color palette, it's time to make one. Here are a few common types of color palettes. Analog, it's when you use color next to each other on the color wheel. Complementary, when you use opposite colors that create high contrast. And monochromatic, when you try different shades or tones of the same primary color. If you are looking for some help coming up with the palette or some inspiration, check out the free design tool Coolest. It contains example palettes and can automatically generate your own based on a starting color or even a photograph. But don't get carried away. You don't need too many colors, as these will convolute your brand image and confuse your people. Keep cultural context in mind. While some languages categorize colors into just 3 basic terms, others distinguish up to 12 distinct shades, and these differences shape how people interpret them. For example, red symbolizes luck and prosperity in China, but in South Africa it's associated with mourning. White represents purify in Western cultures, yet in parts of Asia it's a color of death and funerals. Green signifies nature and eco-friendliness in Europe, but in some Middle Eastern countries it's tied to religion and tradition. Since color psychology isn't universal, understanding cultural context is critical, especially when marketing to international audiences. If you've gotten to this point and you are thinking that keeping track of cultural context, sticking with a palette, and relying on the color psychology basics is overwhelming and impossible, don't worry. When in doubt, add some blue. It turns out that blue is the most popular favorite color across the world. That might be one of the reasons that some of the world's most successful brands have blue in their logos. Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, American Express, IBM, the list goes on and on. So if you are looking for a shortcut or a sure thing, blue's a safe bet. Now, this might be sounds like I'm going against everything before, but the reality is that you can't always predict how your audience will respond to a certain color, let alone certain shades, tones, or tints in your color palette. That's where A/B testing comes in. Try testing 2 different color backgrounds in your ads or buttons on your website and see which your audience prefers. Then use that information. That's the best way to leverage color psychology to improve your marketing. Test and keep testing. I think now you understand that colors are essential for helping your brand stand out, entice customers, and stay memorable. I hope this video passed with flying colors for you. If so, like it and subscribe. And see you in the next one.